Wepa! How you
Hi,
doing?
doing well. How are you?
Candy girl with the congas.
Uh, I had to break them out because I had a special guest on here tonight.
Yeah, I love it. They look fantastic.
Ah, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me give you a special introduction. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Welcome, everyone, my special guest, to another episode of The Candy Show. I am your host, Candy. This gentleman does not need any introduction, but I'm going to let you guys know who he is. Number one, he's a band leader, he's a percussionist, he's an actor, and he's a musician. But before he was all of that, he has actually been the only son of the legend, late, great, legendary king of Latin music, none other than Tito Puente Sr. Introducing my special guest tonight, Tito Puente Jr.
I
Woo!
wish I had a cowbell.
Hey,
All right.
listen. I had to get it going tonight, so I just want to let you know I'm here. I'm paying homage to you and your father,
Uh,
and I can't wait to get this interview
I
started.
thank you. Thank you for paying homage and thank you for that wonderful introduction. That was fantastic.
Thank you, thank you. So, where are
Yeah.
you coming from tonight?
Well, I'm coming to you live from South Florida. I happen to reside in South Florida, but I'm originally from New York, and you could tell by my accent. Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm
so,
loving the accent.
so I'm living down here in South Florida, and of course, Florida, we have the coronavirus. It's very rampant over here, but everybody here is safe. My family's safe, all my kids and wife, and everybody's good over here in the Puente household. And thank God that all my family around in New York, up in New York, are well, doing fine as well. So everybody's safe. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm actually here in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I think it's going to be raining a little bit here shortly. So
Hmm.
let's just hope and pray that it doesn't mess up
Yeah.
everything going on.
I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. Well, shouts out to everybody in Indianapolis. I love them. I've used to play out there all the time. I play every year out there, and I love the fans and friends and family I have all across this nation. But Indianapolis is one of those cities where they love mambo music.
Yes, and you know what? You were recently here. Now, were you here last year, or was it in 2018 that you actually was
I
here?
think
When was the last
I
time?
think it was 2018. We were trying to cut through there last year. I think I went. I'm not sure, but we were in the Midwest. But I was trying to get over there. But yeah, they do a festival every year during the summertime, right about now, where it's a big Hispanic festival, the Puerto Rican festival, and they play a lot of music. And then I do the performing arts centers there. But it's a fantastic city. I love the people over there, and they love Tito Puente music for sure.
Oh, I tell you what. Okay, so guys, for you guys who don't know, Tito had came here. You performed at the Palladium, I believe it was the
Yes,
last time.
yes.
And I have attended a couple of the different Puerto Rican festivals, but I didn't get a chance to see you, so I do apologize.
Well,
But I tell you what, after this is all over, after all of this virus and everything, I'm going to make sure that this is our first time meeting.
mhm.
So I want to make sure that I come out and support. So I can't wait. I can't wait to just get back and dance again and just be free.
Absolutely. Well, I got you tickets, and you can come get a VIP treatment for you, girl. Absolutely. And you're gonna love the music, and I'm excited to get back out on the road simply because this coronavirus got us pulling our hair out. We're trying to get out there and perform live music, especially what I do. You're playing congas, I play timbales. These instruments are supposed to be played live and in person. It's very hard to play instruments that we have through the media, through social media. It's better when you have that presence of live congas, timbales, and bongos, especially with Latin mambo music. So,
Oh,
yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So tell everyone who Tito Puente Jr. is. You are the son
Hmm.
of the legend.
Yeah, I got it right here on my shirt. Mambo King, Tito Puente. Those of you who might not know, he was a king of Latin music worldwide, and he was El Rey de los Timbales. He was the king of percussion playing as well with the instruments called timbales. He was very popular. He did over 186 albums to his credit. It's got to be a world record. He's a 7-time Grammy Award winner, 14 nominations, star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You might have seen my father on The Simpsons, the cartoon show. You might have seen him on many movies such as Mambo Kings, Armed and Dangerous with John Candy, Radio Days, Woody Allen. He also did a Calle 54 mini documentary series, worldwide ambassador of Latin music. And I continue. He passed away 20 years ago. This year's the 20th anniversary of his passing. But we remember him this year, especially because as we move forward through this year, not only am I recording a record for my late father, a 20th anniversary album, we're also doing this great thing of making a documentary on his life story. And all the fans, the millions of fans worldwide, really want to hear his upbringing and what he was all about. So, El Rey de Timbal, they call him.
And let me tell you, I'm just going to give you a little bit background about me. Okay, I'm here. I grew up listening to a lot of different music, and I want to say thank you to my father because he's the one that every Friday and Saturday night we would hear all kind of music. And I have to say the first time I actually heard the ever famous Oye Como Va was through the Santana version. And I didn't realize until after later on that he was not the originator of the song. It was your father.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I have to say, as I was growing up, I'm looking at TV because back then, the 80s and the videos, and I remember not only you, but I remember your father. I remember your father coming on, and it seemed like every time I would turn on the TV, and it was like the Spanish channel.
Yeah.
It was him.
Yeah.
He was always on there, along with Miss late great Celia.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes.
Yes, I would always see them together.
Yeah, they were like Batman and Robin all the time. It was Celia Cruz and Tito Puente. They traveled around the world as ambassadors of Latin music, not only in this great country of ours, the United States, but they went worldwide. They went to the Far East, to the Orient, to China, to Russia, to Japan, all over the planet, South America, to Africa, the motherland. They even went over there and brought the mambo rhythms that they created. Cuban, Afro-Cuban rhythms, Puerto Rican, Cuban styles of playing, and they just brought it around the world. And I'm glad that you got the opportunity as an 80s baby to know where the music comes from, where the likes of Tito Puente and Celia Cruz. They were very big icons and legends, and they are sorely missed. As a matter of fact, Celia passed away 17 years ago. This past couple of weeks was her anniversary of her passing, but they will always be remembered as the king and queen of Latin music. And when you refer to Latin music, you always think of Tito Puente and Celia Cruz.
So tell us what it was like growing up as him being your father, a legend.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in New York City, originally from Spanish Harlem, El Barrio Nueva York. It's a little cross-section of Hispanics that lived in a very, like a 7 to 8 block radius of Manhattan, right in New York City. It's right below Harlem, New York. So it was right there, 125th Street, then you got 116th Street, and my father was born and raised there. We lived there for a couple of years, and then we moved into Manhattan. We were like the Puerto Rican Jeffersons. We moved on up. And then we moved into a family home at that time in the 70s, in the late 70s and 80s. But my father came from humble beginnings in the 1920s and 30s and becoming a worldwide icon legend in his own right. Me, myself, I was always into different genres of music. Being the son of Tito Puente, I didn't really care for mambo music. I'll be straight with you, Candy. I didn't really like it that much. I was into Michael Jackson, Phil Collins, Bon Jovi, rock music, hip hop. I was into pop music, the Madonnas and the girl groups of that era, the Supremes, and I was into Diana Ross and so many different eclectic types of music, R&B, hip hop, house music, rap music, freestyle. I had so many different genres of music that I enjoyed. I didn't really care for mambo music until I started traveling with my father at the age of 14. And my mom was saying during the summertime, I drove my mother up the wall. So she's like, why don't you go on the road with your father? So I went on the road with him, and that's where I started discovering my Latin rhythm and roots and culture, and traveling to Puerto Rico, our island. And that's when I got the bug of playing music and learning how to play percussion. And after that, it was I had to go to school. A lot of people think that Tito Puente taught me how to play drums during my tenure of being his son and his career, but my father was very instrumental in telling me to go to school. So I had to learn to read and write, and I went to Five Towns College, and he said, you got to go to school. I can't teach you how to do this. This is something that you have to have the desire and a feeling for. And I'm glad that he did that. After all these years, I'm 50 years old, and I'm still to this day grateful that my father taught me to said go to school. So any kids or any instrumentalists watching right now, I encourage you guys, definitely go to school, learn your craft, especially instrumentalists. So it was great being his son. I miss him a lot, and it was great growing up being Tito Puente's son. It was very, very a wonderful experience, and I'll always remember it for my days on this planet. And everybody say I kind of look like him a little bit.
Yes, you are his twin, because I
Yeah.
was going to tell you that you guys look alike.
We look alike. I don't have the white hair yet, girl. It's coming soon, though.
We're not going to talk about
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, so
So
it's like,
you like other kind of music, which also brings you into getting your group together. Was it Latin rhythm? Take it together. Tell us a little about your first experience out there.
I had a fantastic group called Tito Puente Jr. Latin Rhythm. We had a record called Guarachando. It came out on the EMI label, which was Capitol Records at the time, EMI Latin division. And I redid the signature hit, Oye Como Va, which was my father's song. As a matter of fact, a little backstory on it. The song was written in 1965 on an album called El Rey El Bravo. This was on Tico Records. Very simple song, chord changes, ding, 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 ding. Very simple tune. Record sold about 3,000 copies. Didn't do well at all. In 1971, two things happened. One, I was born, and number two, just to my own horn. And number two, Carlos Santana, which you mentioned before, remade the Oye Como Va in a Latin rock version, and the song became a #1 hit worldwide. It became their signature standard hit as well. And my father was the composer and writer of the song. And at that time, my dad didn't like rock music, nor did he throughout his whole career or life practically. But he was always questioning, hey, who's this rock musician who plays my song all the time? And he would take almost a small offense to it. But in time, my father would say, well, did you check your mailbox? And my dad would go to the mailbox and see a big royalty check because the song became so huge. And he was the writer and composer of the song. And he says, I don't care who he is, I like him now. And I like rock music now. Yeah, he changed his tune real quick.
Right. Got some money in the pocket, so
yeah. So Tito
Yeah.
Puente then became, who Tito Puente, and of course that song really took me. It got me through college. I could say that, and it took me around the world, and the song still does. So I redid it with my group Latin Rhythm in 1996, and I got my father to play on the record, and which was great. He got to play timbales on it while he was still with us. And the funny story is I brought him in the studio, and my mom said, go down to Florida and play for your son. And my dad was like, all right. So he came in the studio and he looked at me and the guys in the band. And he was like, who's paying me? So I had to give him a big kiss on his cheek. And then I won an award the year after, Best Video of the Year on Billboard for Oye Como Va. And I went up on stage and I said, I want to thank my father for being on this record. And then he looked at me and he said, your kisses are very expensive. But he did it from the heart, and I'm so glad I got the opportunity to work with my father on an album and then tour with him after that. But I was doing Latin house music, and of course he was doing Latin jazz, mambo music. But it was a great team, and it worked out great, and I got the opportunity to see the world with the great Tito Puente. It was fantastic.
And now, was there ever a clash with him at some point? Did he want you to just stick solely to if you were going to be in the musician, if you're going to be a musician, did he really want you to go into like following his footsteps? Or did he want you to just do your own?
That's a good question, Candy. I always ask myself that, and being a father now, my dad named me after him. My father's real name is Ernesto Antonio Puente Jr. Tito is a derivative of something small in Spanish. So they would say in the streets of New York, Ernestito. Ernestito, of course, they would just shorten it and say Tito. So he named me Tito Puente, and I just added the junior for just stage presence or the stage moniker so people could understand that I was his son. However, I'm not sure if he wanted me to play drums or percussion, but, you know, I'm not sure if you're a parent or not, but you always tell your kids, don't touch this and don't touch that. And my dad, we had congas just like those in our garage, and he would say, don't touch the congas, don't touch the timbales. And as a kid, what do? You go and touch them. And that's really, I think it was almost like not a mousetrap, but some sort of just guidance that he would have the drums out and he would say, hey, if you want to play them, play them. And then I kind of gravitated towards that. And I'm glad that I got the opportunity to do that and keep his name and his legacy alive even till this day. But there was never any clash or anything like that, or what's the word? I think it's called nepotism. I think that's the word, where a son or daughter becomes, because of their parents were famous celebrities or actors or actresses. I had my own gig. I had my own thing going on, and I was, jumping around on stage and breakdancing, and he couldn't do that. I know he couldn't do that, so I was good at what I did. But I'm glad we got the opportunity that at the time when I recorded the Oye Como Va song, we came together, and it was for the love of the music. And he, at that point, was like, hey, you should start playing more of the timbales, because I was playing a trap kit, which is a regular drum set. Then I started playing the timbales, which is what you have, the tumba, the conga, but in timbales there's a high, low heads. And that's how I kind of got into the whole group. But he encouraged me and made me take drum lessons and go to school. And I'm so glad he did that, My mom was really like, well, you got it easy, kid, But my dad was like, I'm not going to make it easy for you. I'm going to make you work for what I have, because it took me a long time to get here. And I'm glad he did that. And I still feel that it's still in my heart today. I got to work hard for what I get. And
I have to say, yeah. I totally agree with that. That's my father as well. He always has said that a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So anything that I do musically, like I said before, I have to thank him because he was my influencer. And like I said, with all of this, I had to dig this out of the garage real quick. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have this interview. And I got to, so I'm kind of scared because I'm going to play a little bit for you a little later on.
I'm good. I'm okay. You know what? If I inspired you, or Tito Puente inspired you in any way, including your dad, if he inspired you to play, then by all means, this is a great time for you to experience that and bring that up. Who knows? You could be the next Sheila E., baby.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because when we talk about Latin music and the Miami sounds and all of that good stuff, the Latin music and Mambo and Salsa, this is who I grew up on. I grew up on Sheila E. because my father, oh my gosh, he loved Sheila E. Yeah. So which also brought in everybody else, which is how, again, I know of your father and Santana and Gloria Estefan and all of the greats. And I think you and I have something in common.
Well, tell me.
Menudo.
Oh, I love Menudo.
Yes,
yes. Did you have a poster up on the wall too?
Let me tell you what. Any part of a wall was not seen because I had all the Right-On magazines and all this other stuff from the bottom to the top. It was Menudo and New Edition. Yep. I'm not even going to lie.
I had the same thing, girl. Then I had like a rock guy in the corner. But yeah, New Edition and Menudo, those were the titans. The 80s boy bands.
Yes, and which led into me to have the following and loving Ricky Martin. And I'm sure you saw my post earlier this week. J-Lo. Yeah. All of these people, was an influence on me and the different music that, the music that I like now. Right. How were they influential? And tell us how Sheila E. and Gloria Estefan and all of them played a part in your life growing up with your father.
It's twofold. So you have to get that Tito Puente, my father was influencing their music, and then they were coming up in the 80s, just like you and I, Gloria Estefan, Sheila E. And not only that, they're females that were in Latin music, which made it even more amazing to me, seeing one of the greatest female drummers alive today is Sheila, and knowing that her father, Pete Escovedo, the great Pete Escovedo, who's just turned 85, happy birthday, Pete. He was an influence with my father, working with him back in the 70s with his group. And Sheila, my father happened to be the godfather of Sheila E. So that's even more special. So Sheila is more closer to our family than the average, percussion player would be. And seeing her and her great influence and how she worked with Prince and the Revolution and her own right. So she's just talented herself, just alone. And the drumming that she does is just incredible. So she was a great influence in my percussion playing, because not only does she play timbales and congas really good, she plays the drum set as well. And that's what I was doing. And then, of course, Gloria Estefan, Ricky Martin, the Jennifer Lopez's, they were all fantastic, and they all still are fantastic in their own right with the cultures that they brought in, the Puerto Rican, the Cuban, the Dominican, the Caribbean, all that. Is really fascinating to see that whole Latin explosion when it happened, and everybody loved, wanted to, get on that. And to me, I'm glad that every one of those artists were influenced by Tito Puente. And I tell everybody to remember where Latin music comes from. It comes from the likes of Celia Cruz, Tito Puente, Fania All-Star, Johnny Pacheco, that mambo sound of the 1950s, which is really where it all came from. Edie Chacon. These were female singers in the 70s that had, the dance moves and all that. And they really opened up a whole big door for a lot of Latino artists that came out in the 90s and 2000s. And I'm glad that you're influenced by them, and so am I.
Tell us about your path when you were doing your first album with the Latin Rhythm group. Mm-hmm. Love it. I mean, I'm going to tell you what, I believe I remember seeing you back then. My first thought was that it sounded a little bit like, have anybody ever compared you guys to the Marky Mark Funky Bunch around that same time?
Yeah. Yes, we had that comparison. Yeah. I liked it. I like being with Latin Rhythm because it was more Latin house music at that time. So the early 90s, that whole sound was coming out of New York, and of course Chicago, and it was coming out of California, and all the major cities were coming up with this Latino house sound. And we added the whole vibe of, wow, wouldn't that be miraculous to have Tito Puente's son come out with something that has to do with Latin house music, plus give it that old school edge, which putting my father on the record worked. And it seemed to do very well. We charted on Billboard. We traveled around the world with the Latin Rhythm crew. It was fantastic. Let me see. I had so many different factions of the band that it's hard to remember all their names, but I have a lot of them. Jay Quan, Frankie C, Rio Deej, Shy Baby. I mean, there was so many guys in the group, but each one of them were talented, and they brought something to the table. And I'm glad I got the opportunity, of course, to bring Latin Rhythm. And Latin House was really where it was at. Freestyle, dance music, Latin House. Yeah. I loved all that. I still do to this day. It's great stuff.
Tell us what's the difference between, because you mentioned mambo. Tell us the difference between mambo and salsa.
Okay, so, well, I'll go by what my father said. Salsa is what you put your chips in at the restaurant. Salsa is what you buy in the supermarket. The original name of this music is Afro-Cuban music. It's Afro-Cubano. Comes from Africa, got that Cuban sound, and then we brought it together, and my father took that Afro-Cuban sound and made a big band mambo sound where he interjected jazz and a lot of horn sections, trumpets, trombones, saxophones, and he made it a sound of his own, that big band Afro-Cuban Latin jazz sound. So he took all those elements and brought them all together. That's why he was an innovator of that style of music. He didn't like the terminology salsa. Salsa came in the 70s, where we had the likes of the Fania All-Stars with Celia Cruz and Ruben Blades and all these other great singers that all came together, Hector Lavoe, all came together with a mishmash of different cultures, sounds, and creativities, and that's why they called it salsa. So the name changed in the 70s, but originally it's mambo, cha-cha, rumba, guanguanco. Those were the dance steps, too, that they had back in the 1950s at the Palladium in New York City. And I still I like calling it mambo. I think the mambo word, that word itself, gets people like perky. It gets them happy.
Yes.
You know, it's just salsa is cool too, but I think that mambo's like dance. It's a dance. You know.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
I actually like that because it's hyped. It keeps you moving. You
Wepa.
know, I like how when I like how when you see the dances in the actual way, it's a beautiful dance. Really.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
Yeah.
dance.
I like them. I like them
Once
all.
you and the direction of once you have your first album, tell us what happened from there. You were kind of doing some remakes in the middle, correct?
Yes.
With all your
Yeah, I did some remakes. I did at that time, I didn't really, this was like going towards into the 2000s. My father passed away in 2000. And at that time I was still doing Latin house music in 1998, 1999, and then traveling still with Tito Puente. And my father, of course, I don't know if he had a pinnacle of his career because he had reincarnated himself in his career mode like 6, 7 times throughout his 50-year career. So he was hot in the 50s. Then in the 60s, he did something different. Then in the 70s, he did the pachanga and started the disco thing. Then in the 80s, he started doing a real Latin swing stuff. In the 90s, he started going to Latin jazz. He did at that time, he was already well over 100 albums in his career. So he started doing the dance music when I was working with him in the late 90s. Then, of course, unfortunately, he passed away May 31st, 2000. Then at that time, I was in flux. So I took a year off and I said, man, what do I do? My father's career and his name was so synonymous with the Latin music world, or just the music business in general. Millions and millions of fans would love to see some sort of tribute. And I saw a lot of tributes coming from a lot of different groups, and everybody was tributing him all over the world. And they were all mourning the loss of him as well, including Celia Cruz, Gloria Estefan, everybody. They had the first annual Latin Grammy Awards, which he won, but posthumously he did not attend. But at that time, I said, I got the blessing from my mother, my brother, and my sister, and they said, why don't you continue his lengthy career and do a tribute record from son to father. And that's where I came up with the En los Pasos de mi Padre. I did a tribute record, remakes of old Tito Puente classic tunes. And I did that in 2003, from my heart to his soul. And it was great. And it resonated with the fans. The fans enjoyed it. And they liked seeing me play the timbales and being behind. Something I didn't know how to do. And something I wasn't really familiar with because I was used to holding a microphone and doing the dance, menudo dance, So this was different for me. Now I have an orchestra behind me. Before I would just have a DJ or, a couple of percussion players. Now it's a full band. Very intimidating, very fluid when I was playing, and I didn't want to do anything spectacular or anything that I knew I couldn't do. Because remember, Tito Puente was the most incredible percussion player in the world. How could you replace him? I can only go where the furthest way that my father had in his life, and I was just continuing his legacy, and that's what I do even till today. I just wanted people to remember who he was. At that time, in 2003, I was just nervous, but the fans wanted it, and the fans saw it, and they said, man, we love the fact that you're keeping your father's name alive, and you're playing his music, and you're a pretty good drummer as well, and I'm glad I got that opportunity, and I'm still doing that even till today. It was very intimidating, Candy. It was very frightening for me. That was over 20 years ago. And to this day, I feel more confident that the fan base is still there and they're appreciative of the music that he has left and that I'm redoing, the old classics.
oh, and you know what? I think they probably wouldn't take it any other way
Mm-hmm.
from other than getting the music for the music to continue if it wasn't from his son and maybe from some other artist. They probably
Right.
wouldn't have got the real, closeness to it.
Yeah, I felt that too because a lot of artists did redo a lot of his music at that time for the past 20 years. But I think most of the fans wanted to see Junior and they wanted to see me present his music to the level that he kept it at, which is what Tito Puente always brought to the table, people dancing and enjoying themselves. So.
Besides Oye Como Va, what is one of the other famous popular songs that you continue your father's legacy doing?
Well, remember he had a catalog of over 186 records So there was a lot of music and a lot of hits. But I can tell you in my concerts, I love to perform and people like it a lot. The dancers, the mambo dancers, they love a song called Ran Can Can. Very popular tune.
Yes.
And, you play percussion, so you must love it too. It's got an awesome solo in it.
Yes.
Very danceable tune. I like playing that song, and it brings people back to, of course, from the Mambo Kings movie. He played that with Armando Sante on stage, and it brings them back to that Palladium era. It brings them back to that time when life was very simple, and you would go out on Wednesday nights, and you would go to a nightclub called the Palladium in New York City, and it'd be all races, creeds, and colors, people, religions, everybody dancing for one thing, and that was for mambo music. And that's what the world really needs right now, today especially. And I'm glad that even till today, every time I perform that song, even though we haven't been performing for the past couple of months, that's a song that brings everybody on their feet at my concerts, and everybody dances and intertwines with each other, and everybody does one thing, and that's dance mambo. So Ran Can Can would be my second favorite of the Tito Puente classics.
How do you stay in shape? Because you would have to do a whole bunch of weightlifting to just keep all this going.
Yeah.
How do you stay in shape?
I got some metal sticks. They give you they're like weighted. So I kind of work with that a little bit. But most of the time, just arm stretches, hand stretches, stuff like that. Push-ups help a little bit too. My father had like Popeye arms. Remember Popeye, the old cartoon? He had those big arms. My dad's arms were like big like that. He was round in the middle, but he was big on the arms. And it was cool. It was cool seeing. I was like, Dad, you're so powerful. His handshakes were very strong too. Percussion players are like that. They got strong hands. It's cool that those practice, those those regimens that I have each day in order to keep your hands going, are very important. I didn't blow up any fireworks on 4th of July. My kids are like, yeah, we want fire. I'm like, my hands are important now.
Right.
Right. You don't think about that when you're a kid, but this is what I make my bread and butter with, so I got to be easy with them. So, but my wife still makes me wash the dishes.
Well, you can't do too much.
Yeah.
You might get a little cut, but other than that,
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Practice out there.
You guys you have so much energy when you go on stage. And that's the one thing that I love about the Latin music, is because it never stops. You're consistently dancing, and it's the best workout music.
Yes. I every time I go to a Zumba class, they're playing Oye Como Va everywhere. It's really good music, and people love the cardio. And I can tell you honestly, Candy, a lot of my fans, they are, we'll say, the elderly. I have a lot of elderly fans because they've been fans of my father for so many years. So when I perform a lot of retirement homes, they all get up, and they all, even if they're in their little chairs and stuff, they get up and they do the cha-cha-cha and the slide and all the great dances. And I'm glad that I get to give that little joy in their life, at least for that brief moment, or the 2 hours or 2.5 hours that I'm playing, that they can dance and get their cardio going. Latin music has always been a great cardio workout, and I've been telling people that since the beginning of this pandemic, since March. Continue to listen to Tito Puente music each and every day. It brings good spirit, good vibes, and it gets your blood flowing. I play Tito Puente music every morning, and my kids are like, "Just oh my God, it's too much mambo." I drive them nuts with it. I tell my little machine, what's that? The Alexa, play Tito Puente, and she plays Tito Puente all day long.
How many different versions of Oye Como Va is out there? Do you know? I'm
going to say probably over 30. Tooting my own horn, mine's pretty good. But there are many bands and many different versions of it. As a matter of fact, Pitbull did a version. There's a version that Luther Campbell, juvenile hip-hop artists use. Gerardo, Rico Suave got a version of Oye Como Va. I heard Oye Como Va in the elevator being played, I think, by Kenny G. Something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's so many different versions of it. That I've gone on cruise ships, and they're playing it with the the steel drum. Everywhere I travel around the world, they've always known the tune. There are many versions of it, and I'm happy about that. At least his name is synonymous with the song.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us about your latest project.
Well,
What's going on with is it Me Soso? Me
oh, okay, mi
Socio.
socio.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so
That's what I've been promoting.
oh,
So
well,
tell us
thank
about
you.
that.
Yes, I will. Well, let me give a big shout out to, is it Rain? Right? Rain Jackson. That's my girl.
Yes, yes.
Big shouts out to Rain, wherever you at, girl. Thank you so much. We were gonna do this fantastic concert a couple of weeks ago, the Feel Good Festival. However, it didn't work out, but we're gonna try to do it again next year. So, shouts out to Rain. She's a great girl. She has put out I believe a compilation, and it's going to be on Sirius XM as well. And we're excited about it. It's a tune called Mi Socio. In 1965, Candy, my father worked with one of the greatest female singers of that era, with notwithstanding Celia Cruz. Her name was the Queen of Latin Soul, Miss La Lupe, and she sang a song and an album called Tito Puente Swings, La Lupe Sings from 1965, and they did a song called Mi Socio, and it means my friend in English. I had the arrangement sitting in my home up in New York, and my mom actually had it, and she has about maybe 4,000 or 5,000 arrangements of my father. My dad never recorded the song again. He only did it that one time. So I said last year or the year before, I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to cherry pick some arrangements of Tito Puente. So I went in the vault, found the song, and I got to thank my wife because she was like, yo, you got to do one with a female. And I said, yeah. Everybody did the Celia Cruz thing, the Guantanameras, the Quimaras. You know, they did a lot of those remakes. I said, let me do something by the Queen of Latin Soul, La Lupe, and let's try something different. So I worked with this girl named Melina Almodovar, met her in Memphis, Tennessee, Puerto Rican. I was like, what you doing in the middle of Memphis? What you doing here? And she said, I don't know, but they dropped me off over here. But she's a fantastic singer. Then she relocated to South Florida. I ran into her many years later after that. And then we worked together in the studio and remade the 1965 classic, Mi Socio. And we redid it. And we got it on this compilation. And that's our latest single. We have a music video. So you guys go to YouTube. Go to Tito Puente Jr., subscribe, and you'll see the Mi Socio video, Tito Puente Jr. featuring Melina Almodovar. And again, I got to thank my wife for pushing me to do it because I wasn't really looking to work with any artist at that point. And then he's like, no, because I could work with many singers, male singers. That's all my father really worked with. But he said, you got to get a female on this track. Let's get the ladies going. And I'm so glad that for the opportunity to work with Melina. She's a fantastic singer. She might be watching. Hi, Melina. And the song is great. Check it out. It's on iTunes. It's on Amazon. It's on all the Spotify. And you guys could pick it out on your playlist. Mi Socio, Tito Puente Jr. featuring Melina Almodovar. Fantastic tune. I love it. Big band. Mambo all the way.
And you know what I was actually the question I was going to ask you was, what's the largest number in your band that you usually work with?
I have two configurations of my orchestra. One, in order to travel, a lot of the promoters, it's very hard to bring a large orchestra. So what I'll usually do is possibly pick up some horn players wherever I go to, the major cities, New York, Chicago, even Indianapolis too. Over there, I work with a lot of great musicians locally over there. But I'll take my core guys, my musical director. Most of the time, I travel with a 6-piece band or 7-piece band. I call it the Tito Puente Jr. and his Latin Jazz Ensemble. That's the title. And then I'll use the full orchestra, which is 13. I have 3 saxophone, 2 trumpets, and 2 trombones. That's alto, tenor, and baritone on the saxophone. Conga, bass, piano, bongos, and campana. I'll bring a singer too, whether it be Melina sometimes, or I'll bring another choral singer. And then, of course, me on timbales, and that's a 13-piece orchestra. Tito Puente Jr. and his orchestra. So it's 2 configurations. I think the performing arts centers, I like having the bigger band because people can hear the music. The music is really intense. But the Latin jazz stuff is great for people who are dancing on a dance floor in front of us, dancing mambo and cha-cha-cha.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. Tell everyone how they can reach you. And I'm going to check cue my music up here in a second so we can rock out a little bit. But yes, please let everyone know how they can reach you. And again, let them know how they can get a hold of me, Socio.
Okay, so Me Socio is on a compilation. I think maybe you can find it on my webpage.
Raindrop.
What's that?
It's on Raindrop.
Raindrop. There you go. You got all the information. I'm glad that you're here with us. It's on Raindrop, but you guys could also pick it up on iTunes, Amazon. It's on Spotify. Anywhere they're selling digital downloads, you can check it out. And it's on a compilation too. And of course, Rain Jackson, thank you very much for putting Afro-Cuban music on a compilation. She got all kinds of eclectic music on there. So I'm glad that she took the opportunity or gave us the opportunity to put a little mambo in there. And you guys can pick it up there, Raindrop. Follow me, Instagram at Tito Puente Jr. Follow me on Facebook. You guys can see my crazy life here, quarantined with the kids. I got a little. I'm starting to do the TikTok stuff.
Yes, and I was going to ask you about that. I'm loving your TikToks with your daughter.
I'm trying. You know, I used to know how to dance, but she's better than me now. Just,
wow.
I'm getting the hang of it, but that's what we do in quarantine. And also, I wanted to just give just kudos to Mr. Edward James Olmos. We are working on a project of the documentary series on my father's life, Tito Puente. This will be out in 2021. We are now getting footage, some exclusive footage from my family's archives. I'm excited to share that with the world. Also, a documentary biopic movie is in the works too on the life story of my late father. So I'm working with Mr. Edward James Olmos along with Damon Whitaker, David Guzman, and Edward James Olmos' son, Michael Olmos. And we are working on this fantastic project. I'm not sure if you guys heard about it, but it's big news. And we, the Puente family, are really excited to finally share the story of this great man who really, paved the way for all us musicians, especially in Latin music. So, can I jam with you tonight?
Oh, yeah, sure. But, I mean, I might mess up because I just don't know how great I'm going to be. But
well, I'm going to have to
I know you can take the reins.
I would like to jam with you. That's cool.
Okay. So, one more time. Me Socio is available on Raindrop's Love Holidays album, Volume 2.
Yes.
You can also be reached, Tito Puente Jr. On social media.
Yes, you can find me at Tito Puente Jr. It's right there. You guys can read it. TitoPuentJr. And follow this girl right here, Candy Girl 3149. I love you. You're doing a fantastic job. I follow you. And I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you, and I'm glad my father influenced you in some way in your music career.
Yes, thank you so much. One other thing I do want to touch on, actually, is a couple things, because you brought it up, and I was going to expand on that. The gentleman, Edward, right? The one that's going to be helping you with the documentary.
Yes.
Okay. So just in case for those who don't know, the one. He has played many of characters, many of roles, but the one thing that comes up in my mind that I know that I remember him off of is that he played Selena in the movie Selena.
Correct.
And with that also, I like giving back to the community. So I know that you're also involved in community give back. Tell us a little bit about that before we head out of here.
I do a lot of fundraising for many different things. I hope they bring back that ice bucket challenge. I like that one. That was a fun one.
I've never done that one. But,
well, of course, I work with American Cancer Foundation. We do a lot of fundraising with them. Safe Harbors up in New York. And then we're going to start next year, hopefully, we're fingers crossed and this pandemic calms down, a Tito Puente Scholarship Fund, once again, to give students, music students that are really talented, of course, scholarships to schools that have music programs. And we want to give back to all the music programs, too, that are in all our schools. So this is something special. It'll be the Tito Puente Scholarship Fund revisited. We had it for about 20 years, and then we pushed it to the side, but we want to start it up again here on the 20th anniversary of my father's passing. So it's only right. We want these kids today, they're so talented, and we want to give them an opportunity. So you guys can look out for that. By the way, if you want to see anything about the movie, the docuseries, it's thetitopuenteproject.com. And you can go to that website and see all the progression that we're doing with the movie, the docuseries, and the biopic. So very exciting.
And you have what other projects going on this year? Besides that, you have something coming out here soon?
I got a brand new record. It was hard for me to record it this past 3 months. Actually, 4 months, right? The pandemic started in March. My last concert was March 7th. So I've been recording since March 15th all the way till now. So yeah, I've done 10 songs. It's the 20th anniversary of Tito Puente. I did a lot of my father's classic tunes like El Rey de Timbal. I got Hong Kong Mambo. And the great news about the whole record, it's an album where I got a bunch of artists that distinctively worked with Tito Puente, my father, in a studio setting. So we were considering the title, calling it The King and I, which they referred to him as the king of Latin music. Some special guests I have is my brother, Ronnie Puente. He's a fantastic musician. I got him to play vibes. My father played vibes, and he was a fantastic vibe player. So my brother's playing on the record. I got the great Tony Vega, Ismael Miranda, and of course my homegirl Sheila E. She's going to participate in the record too. A great big fan of the King of Latin Music. Her father, Pete Escovedo, as well. Giovanni Hidalgo, great conga player. I got so many great artists that are going to participate in this album. I'm very excited about it. Nice tribute record. It'll be out before the end of the year. 20th anniversary, Tito Puente by Tito Puente Jr., The King and I. Full-length LP coming your way soon. I'm excited about it. Very, very big news.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to say thank you so much to my special guest, Mr. Tito Puente Jr. Now, before we leave, I'm gonna play a little bit off of your dad's song.
Okay.
Which of course, Oye Como Va.
Yes.
And this is I found this version on YouTube, and it's a live concert.
Okay.
So I'm only gonna do a little bit of it, okay? Because I'm gonna play along with you.
Sure.
All right.
I'm gonna jam with you. I'm gonna grab my drums too. Let's do this.
Okay.
Let's do this together. I don't have a full set, but I got something here that might work. We could play. I got my timbales here. This one here is an official Tito Puente timbale.
Okay.
So I'll jam with you a little bit.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna try to turn this up loud.
Okay.
So here we go.
Go ahead.
Okay.
El rey de la música latina, Tito Puente, y José Alberto Canario.
Woo! What a great job!
Woo!
Hey, you got some rhythm. You got some rhythm, girl.
Yes. How'd I do?
I do. You got some good rhythm. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, when I come back to Indianapolis, we're gonna get you to come up on stage and jam with us.
All right,
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I thank you so much, Mr. Tito Puente Jr., so much for this opportunity. I look forward to seeing you and meeting you. You guys stay safe there in Florida, and let them know one more time how they can reach you.
Okay, just follow me at Tito Puente Jr., guys. I'll be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, pick up the new CD. Got Me Soci on it. Thank you, Rain Jackson. I appreciate you. Pick it up at Raindrop right there. The compilation is out now. And again, Candy Girl 3149, I love you. You sound fantastic. Thank you for keeping Tito Puente's music alive, and thank you for being a fan. I can't wait to meet you, girl, in concert.
Bye-bye.
All
Bye-bye.
right.